It was like a long time ago. I want to say I was like 17 or 18. Grandma made like brownies for Christmas, and 2 weeks went by, and I finally ate the brownies. But I was playing Resident Evil 4 at night, and the room was dark, and I'm eating the brownies, and then all of a sudden it got like I bit into one. I'm like, man, that was like really sweet. That was oddly sweet. And I was like,
Hmm.
what's that off-putting taste all of a sudden? Like it was really confusing. And I'm like, oh no. And I turned the light on and it was like white and green mold on the brownies.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like not like entirely, like just like in that I guess where I guess the first one I ate was fine, but that one was covered. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. So I've eaten mold.
No.
Congratulations. So that's the only way you can eat brownies now?
What's going on? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today I'm talking with Jake and Jimmy.
What's going on, y'all?
You have no proof.
You're right. Actually, I almost forgot your name for a quick second.
Man, what the fuck? I haven't been on one of these in like I don't know. I don't watch this fucking channel.
Exactly.
That's why we forgot your name.
Today we got a lot of things to kind of cover. Finally, I've been wanting to actually get these two on the channel for this particular moment because Jimmy went to the Tennessee Nationals and me and Jake went
Regionals.
to regionals. I always say national. I don't know why, but yeah, Jimmy went to the regionals with a couple of guys from the shop. Me, Jake, and a couple other people went to the Battle Spear Saga regional event. Big event.
Grand Open.
Grand Open. That's what it is. Yeah. And then maybe we'll talk about a little bit the games that weren't on camera and stuff like that. You know, fun stuff. But I want to hear about the regional. How was that, Jimmy?
I mean, it was great. Like out of the regionals that I've been to, this has by far been the best one. I didn't do as well as I would have liked. I didn't do as well as I did at the previous regionals, but the crowd that was there, it was ran really well. The venue was quite nice. It was a little hot, but I think that's anytime when you get a bunch of sweaty nerds in one room, it's gonna get a little toasty. But it was a great time overall. Everybody I met, all of my opponents were really cool, really chill, and it was all really good games. There was no I sat down and was just like, this was the worst game of Dragon Ball. I walked away on almost every single match going like, holy shit, that's like in my top 10 games of Dragon Ball I've ever played. But it was a really good time. I took Green Gohan against the advice of a lot of people at the shop telling me to take 3 Han. I'm really glad I took Green Gohan, even though it's the meta pick. It's what everybody's trying to. It's the deck to beat going into it, and there was a lot of them there. I'm glad I took that over 3 Han because I feel like after playing that many rounds of 3 Han, my brain would have been mush. So I had fun playing the deck opposed to having to fight with the deck that I'm playing.
This regional was a little bit different too, I think, because you said it was best of 1 pre-side, right? Where I think every regional I've been to with you has been like a best of 3.
Yeah, it was best of 1 pre-side for the Swiss rounds, and then into Top Cut, it was best of 3 1-hour rounds. So I think that was another thing that made this a little bit more enjoyable. It was quick rounds. I think it was 36 minutes per round.
Ooh, that's interesting.
So it was quick. Only like one of my games went to time, and even then it was just like they're picking up the last life on when it was the last couple of seconds. But I feel like that for being a competitive, being in a bigger competitive event like something like Nats, like Bancroft wants to say I was at, something like that, I would much rather have the best of 3 because it's you get more what's the word? It's a little bit more competitive.
Yeah.
In that realm, but in the best of 1, I felt like everybody was hyped, but everybody was ready to get into their next game. There was no like grueling long matches that you didn't want to set through. So for me personally, for a regional of this scale, I much prefer the best of 1 pre-side opposed to the best of 3.
Yeah, with best of three, a lot of people say it's a more like skill intensive format because your opponent's deck has 2 or 3 chances to actually go off and do what it's supposed to do, and same is true for your deck. But that comes at the expense of sometimes the matches can feel super grindy. Like I've been to a few regionals in my day where it's like every round is I take game one, they take game two, and now we're in game three, and then it just goes like that for 7 or 8 rounds all day. So sometimes best of one, I guess, can be a nice break from that.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
So before my next question, what's up, Fluff? Fluff has joined us finally.
Hey, what up? Sorry, I did not see that you guys were recording me.
It's all good. We're talking about Jimmy's experience at regionals, since I said it right this time. I know you talked about you had a slugfest match against, was it Expert 21?
For 21, yes. That was my round 2 match. I bricked for nearly... I didn't play a single card for almost 4 turns, while 21 just was able to set up the field. And I believe he commented on the profile, so shout out to you. That the rest of that event, every single time we'd run into each other, it's like, dude, holy shit, that match, it was insane. I ended up losing that match, but it was just I felt so overwhelmed by the time I was actually able to start playing the card game. And once I got to that point, I think it kind of shows how strong Gohan is that even though I bricked for 4 turns and Android 21 got to set up a nearly unbreakable board, it still come down to just slugging it out, and it was just who was able to get that last little bit of damage through. But yeah, that was absolutely the best match of the entire night for me. Was my round 2. It was a loss, but it was a hard fought loss.
So this is actually a question from a comment on your profile. What did you have trouble against the Spirit Bomb deck? Because I think you mentioned that you lost in that one.
Yeah, I lost to Spirit Bomb. It really just come down to well-timed riposts.
Oh, yeah, that could do it.
Yeah, it come down to well-timed ripost. If I was able to play around ripost a little bit better, he did a really good job at keeping me at 5 life, and of course I can take myself down to 4 at any time. But he was doing a really good job of not letting me get to that 4th life to focus breakthrough his riposts. So I had to play under riposte pretty much every turn, and they were really well timed because he would do it on a swing where I would not be able to have a follow up. And then Secret Rare into follow up Spirit Bomb activation. There just wasn't much I could do after that. I did have the energy up to counter the Spirit Bomb activation, but We Are Number One was able to tap down my energy, or You Are Number One was able to tap down my energy and just say GG loser. Again, it was a very good match. There was no match where I felt like I made a major mistake in that lost me the game. It was all very well played rounds on both parts. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why I feel so good about this regional, even though it was I didn't do the best, or with the I don't feel I did as well as I should.
And I think you said you actually technically placed 22nd, but after all of the
after like all of the breakdowns and everything and tiebreakers, because we did end on the 7th round because of the new weird ass Bandai rules, which you guys will get into that with Battle of Spirits.
Oh yeah.
But after that, after the breakdown, I ended up placing 43rd. I wish Chase was here because he just missed out on additional prizing, placing at 65th.
Yeah.
With the same record as me, but of course with tiebreakers, everybody gets split into weird ass places. I mean, we are a little bit late. This was a week ago now, but we just haven't had a chance to record and talk about the experience.
Yeah. And speaking of our experience, a lot of us in the shop have actually a lot of people have been trying out Battle Spirits. Primarily me, Jake, were kind of first diving into it, and we got Fluffs into it. We got Tanner back for it as well, and I think Nick, Jimmy, and Trevor have kind of dabbled into it, if I recall correctly. Did Chase dabble into it as well?
Yeah, Chase has been playing some here and there.
So
Yeah, he actually has a deck built, unlike me.
oh, nice. But me, Jake, Tanner, and another guy from our shop who doesn't actually play Dragon Ball but works at the shop all went to the Battle Spirits open whatever.
Grand Open?
Yeah, Grand Open in Columbus. And like Jimmy said, those events get really hot when you have a lot of people in the same room. But I went 3 and 4 before I dropped, or X and 4 before I dropped, and I think Jake did the same.
Yeah, it was X and 4 or X and 3, something like that. Either way, we checked the records when we were leaving, and there were already not already, there were still, I think, 60 people that were like X and 1.
Yeah.
It was like over 400 people there. So you had to do crazy well in order to top that event.
And if you're not familiar with Wave Band that does the tournaments now, if you have 256 or less players, you're supposed to do 7 rounds, like how Jimmy said he did 7 rounds. But if you have, I guess, 256 or 257 up to 512, you do 9 rounds. And the way that breaks down is that you do 7 rounds the first day, then you come back the next day, you do 2 rounds, and then you do top cuts after that. So after the first 7 rounds, we're like, none of us are getting top 32, so we're just going to leave. And actually, because it's under 512 people, it would only be top 16 that did the top cut. Top 32 still got, I think, $250 in cash, but you had to be top 16 to go into top cut, unless you had 513 or more players, which I didn't see those events going on. So
yeah, I think that one we were at was capped at 512 anyway.
Yes.
So like it was always gonna cut to top 16. I think so. From a player's perspective, there are things that I like and don't like about the new system. I did like that we got a 30-minute break to eat between rounds 3 and 4. That is something that I could definitely get used to with these events because they never really give us breaks at all. And it's always a hassle on how to get food or what snacks to bring and all of that.
Jimmy, did you guys get a break out of curiosity?
No.
Okay.
But it being much shorter rounds, because you guys were playing best of 3s, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. With it being much shorter rounds, with aggro being prevalent right now, most of the time you could finish your match fast enough to run. The venue was in a mall, a mostly dead mall, but they did have a very nice food court.
Oh, sick.
And that was just a hop, skip, and a kickflip from the actual place we were playing, so you could run over, grab something to eat real quick, and be back with plenty of time. So that wasn't a big issue, but shout out to Steve for dropping after round 5 and getting a cheesesteak. And then he lorded it in front of me and Chase for the rest of the event.
Yeah, we our 30-minute break, there was no place nearby. Like we were like in a giant warehouse is what it looked like.
From what somebody told me, it's the building we played in is the building they keep the cattle in during the state fair. And there were drains in the floor and everything. So I think he was right.
And they had like this small little like, I think it was like 4 different food stands. Like there was Chinese, Mexican, and then it was like 2 different American. Like they were the same, ideally the same thing, like pizza, hot dogs, and whatnot. But it's what you expect. It's overly priced. I wish we had an actual food court because I assume it would have been a lot cheaper.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad though. I've paid more for food at a con. Like I think we got 2 tacos and a quesadilla for like $18.
Yeah, I think so.
I've paid more than that for food at a con, but it was a little bit expensive for what it was. But back to like the event structure, I do not like as a player not knowing if I'm playing in a cash event or even a non-cash event, not knowing if I'm going to make top cut at the end of the first day of play, because maybe this was just our mistake for not fully reading the TRM, but we didn't get a hotel. Like, our
Yeah.
plan was to get a hotel if somebody topped, and then use that money to like reimburse whoever paid for the hotel, right?
Yeah.
And without doing that, or without knowing that you were in the money or not at the end of day one, it made it kind of a net loss if you were to go 7-0 the first day, get a hotel, come back day two, play 2 rounds cold where you haven't been playing all day, lose 2 rounds, and then don't make top 16 or don't make top 32, because there were a ton of people with good records there. So that was totally a situation that could have happened. And after they announced it at the beginning of the event, but I didn't fully understand it. And after talking to a judge after round two, my spirit was just like broken. I was just like, oh man, this is going to be a slog of an event.
Your game two, like, you were so serious in that moment too. And then I think, like you said, after that, it was just downhill for you, like, mentally.
Oh yeah, that totally took the wind out of my sails. You and Tanner actually got to spectate the end of my round two, and it ended up going to time. It was a pretty crazy game, but
Yeah.
I think that was one of the best games of Battle Spirits personally that I had ever played. And then couple that with just the uh, realization that it was going to be a much tougher challenge than I initially thought, really kind of took the wind out of my sails. As far as like logistics challenging, like we had people calling up friends that lived in the area, like, "Hey, could we crash with you possibly if this happens?" And it was just a big mess.
We
So I
had,
think in the future we'll just plan on staying. You know what I mean?
yeah, we I know my round two opponent. I sat down and guy sat beside me was like, "Oh snap, are you yada yada?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Should I be in trouble?" And I texted Fluff afterwards. I was like, "Do you know a Jeff Jones in the Yu-Gi-Oh community?" And Fluff was like, "Yeah." And I looked at his record when we left. He was X-1, so like he'd won 6 of his games, and the next day, he ended up placing like I think like in the 40s. So like that idea, like you could go, I think he placed in the 40s, but you could go like really well and lose only one match that first day, then you come back next day, and almost like a different mindset. I feel like because like you go and begin the match. A lot of times you feel like oh you get trained, but some people will kind of get better as the days go on or as the matches go on because
They build momentum.
yeah, and then you take that oh okay go home or go to the hotel whatever and just rest. And all of a sudden you come in the next day and like you may be in a completely different headspace than you were when you left, or even that entire day could be different. You know, you could have slept wrong, and then you have this weird like sore in the back of your neck. You have to now focus on the game. There's so many different factors, and like, yeah, that would be really annoying if I was in that situation where it's like, hey, I have a chance. It's not guaranteed, but I got a chance.
Yeah.
Well, I think that speaks to the caliber of players that were at that event, because you take someone like Jeff Jones, who pioneered multiple Yu-Gi-Oh formats and took multiple first places and multiple YCS and stuff like that. And then you find out that he only finished in the 40s. Like, that's crazy. That just speaks to how hard people were playing this game.
Yeah. I know there was one round. I don't remember what actually happened, and I'm curious if anything like this for you, because I think Jimmy, you kind of like saw the judges on your end reacting to what was happening to us. There was one round, where it went to time, and then they wouldn't call a result. Like something happened in that match where it had a whole crowd of people. There were 3 judges over there, and the judges went to another table to talk about it. And I think Jimmy Lee talked about it. And you said that at some point in your match, the judges shifted over somewhere else and started talking about battle spirits.
Yeah, there was a couple talks about battle spirits and kind of I think judges like pinging off of each other. They might have known somebody or known somebody at the event that were pinging back and forth. And I do remember at one point there was like a little huddle And I think that I'm fairly certain that was about battle spirits. But to go back on Dragon Ball just for a little bit, shout out to the judges at Tennessee. They were fantastic. They did a really good job. There was some awkward hiccups, I think, going into round 2, where they had a repair, and they handled it super well. Way better than I would have, or I've seen other judges handle it. So they did a great job there. And I'm sure the Battle Spirits judges also tried to do a good job, even with the amount of people and the weird rules with Bandai and their rounds. I'm sure they tried and did a very good job thinking about the circumstances.
Jake.
Oh, yeah, I have no complaints. They were just following the rules.
Jake has a story about judges, real quick. This was probably the best, I think. What's this guy at Jake's table was being, I guess, really particular and like almost a level of being of an asshole. And he's like, "You're gonna lose the game because of this." But go ahead, Jake.
So in Battle Spirits, at the end of a game, if you have a burst card set, you're supposed to flip it over and show your opponent that it was in fact a burst card and that you weren't bluffing, right? So at this point, I'm at top table. Everybody at this table is 2-0, right? So it's the game next to me. They get finished. And this guy loses the first round, and then after his opponent kind of picks up his cards, is like, "You didn't show me your burst card. You're going to lose that game because of that." And everybody at the table was like, "Come on, dude." And he was like, "No, you're going to lose that game." So he called a judge. Judge comes over, and the judge is like, "Here's the story." And he's like, "Hey, just so you know, at the end of the game, you're supposed to reveal your burst card to your opponent to show that you weren't bluffing with like a spirit or a nexus or something. And we're just going to give you a warning. You know, it's the second round or third round at this point. It's the first time it's happened all day. And keep in mind, this game's only been out since April, you know? So this is one of the first big competitive events. And the guy goes, "I want to appeal it." And he was like, "Okay." The head judge walks over, and the head judge is like, "Okay, so this is going to be a warning." And it was just really funny that you could tell somebody was trying to shark a win after he had already lost a game right there, and I think the judges handled it perfectly. Like, they could kind of read that somebody was trying to gain an advantage through the rules after they had already lost a game, you know? So I think they handled that really well.
I understand like the drive to win, especially in something like Battle Spirits where there's actual cash prizing. So there's a little bit more than just sparkly cardboard on the line. Which, I mean, people also get upset about sparkly cardboard as well. But like, come on, it's a fucking card game. Like, not to speak on the character of anybody that was involved in this, but just it's a fucking card game. Just play the game, have fun. If you lose, you lose. If you win, you win. Don't try to get bullshit wins.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the vibe at the table. At least me and my opponent both kind of looked at each other, and I could tell from his eyes that he was like, "Oh Lord, like this is what people are doing." But you know, I understand the.
But hear me out though. Hear me out though. If this was like final game and it was like we're talking like Magic Grand Prix money, I'm gonna be like fucking Hawkeye trying to figure out something to shark my opponent over. But
first place.
I would like to. Yeah,
I would say first place was $7,000. So
yeah. Although I would like to think that judges would be watching the final game when money is on the line.
No, they'll be distracted. They'll be distracted by another card game that they gotta go huddle around for.
I mean, there were I think 3 or 4 judges there, and like Jimmy said, Dragon Ball, like the Battle Spirits guys, the judges were great. We talked to one towards the end of the night and kind of got some more information about certain things. It was really overall good experience, and both me and Jake will be participating in the Battle Spirits event at Gen Con, and a handful of us will be doing the Dragon Ball event at Gen Con as well. And going back to Dragon Ball, we have real quick a couple matches coming out this week. I don't remember any of them all of a sudden. We have Trunks Vegeta versus SS4 Vegeta. We have Set 21 Gohan taking on AOD. And then we have the Flip Boys taking on Pan, if correct.
Yeah, Red Pan.
So look forward to those matches. Is there any particular matches in your all's that was on camera you guys want to talk about?
Mine and Jake's match was a fucking loser.
Oh my god!
Talk about a slugfest. That was a
like I felt like again holds up to the resiliency and the power of Gohan in that like Gohan was just surviving on one or two cards every single turn for that entire match. And I at one point I said to Jake, I was like, oh, what did you say? You were something like, "Why are you so good at this game?" And I was like, "I don't fucking feel like it."
Yeah, you're like, homie, I'm hanging on for dear life. I was like, it doesn't feel like it from this side of the table.
I feel like we were both just terrified the entire game. It was such a good match.
I think the relief on Jake's face is when he swung that final swing. He's like, "All right, show me the negate," and you're like, don't got one."
Yeah. I went through my entire negate base, had nothing left. I just had to rely on combo power, and it ended up coming up something that I never had seen before, and Jake was the most focus I've ever seen him reading a card. And at one point, I think he realizes what he can do. I had no clue. I had never ran into this because most Trunks Vegeta players aren't even running this card. But the big boy 8-drop Trunks Vegeta just doesn't check for what it has to evolve on, air quotes. Jake plays it and he's like, "Yeah, just Trunks Vegeta," and I'm like, "Oh shit." Okay, well damn.
Yeah, I read the card like 4 times in a row because I was like, there's no way you can just put an 8-drop under an 8-drop, right? And by text on card, you can. It's a Trunks slash Trunks Future slash Vegeta, and fulfills half of that requirement by itself. You do have to do 2 cards, so I did have to take another card I had in play and put it underneath, but it does fulfill half of that requirement. And while that card doesn't really have a lot of protections, it is an 8-drop. Excuse me, it is an 8-drop, so it's a little bit hard to deal with. And Triple Strike Crit is never bad. 35k.
Oh, certainly.
Bancroft, our games are always difficult. AOD on Trunks Vegeta. I cannot crack that matchup. It's been years, and I think I'm just going to give up. I don't think I'll ever beat that deck.
I think compared to the last time we did it, I fell into a better place this match against you when it comes to like what my hand was compared to what your hand was. Because and also I think since then we've gotten the Sin and we've gotten the Genetics. We haven't really played this matchup in a long time, and like those 2 cards come out a lot. Because like I was gonna go for the Sin play against you, and you had Trunks aboard. I'm like, oh, if I play Sin though, he's gonna rest Sin. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll burn the Overrealm target to draw 2, discard 1, and then you would rest that card. Then I'll play Sin and pop your blocker, and then swing with Sin. And I almost comboed out. I was like, all right, 30k triple. You're like, no negate. I'm like, no, you're yellow. I'll just leave it 30k triple. And you're like, all right, Final Flash. I'm like, thank God you got rid of it then.
Yeah. I just didn't have the combo power otherwise to get out of that triple strike, so I had to spend it then. And like you were saying, like it would have been nice had I hit a Flying Nimbus or a Robotic Riposte at any point during that game. But overall, I think I could have played it better than I did. And I just think it
I think the
goes to show like every matchup is different. It doesn't matter how experienced you are with a deck, like somebody can take you out.
I think the moment I realized my hand in the long scheme was better than what you drawed was when you went to go play your 1-drop Frieza to pop my Bobbity, and I tapped out to counterplay it, but you couldn't at that point. You couldn't apply enough pressure to take me out with what you had in your hand.
Yeah, I tried to bait the counterplay with the Frieza just so I could evolve and draw more cards. Like, that's the state of desperation I was in. I also didn't hit a 1-drop on turn 1
Yeah.
and had to use the Vegeta negate on your turn to be able to awaken on turn 2, and that was pretty shaky as well.
Because that Vegeta negate came in handy with you, because like I'm always used to like Gil, like, oh, I'll just tech in Zarbon to restand stuff to block with, and I forgot the Vegeta has the auto where you can restand a trunk, so that was kind of a nice little like interaction during our match. I felt like as well.
Yeah, I also play the Trunks Rambunctious Sun, so when you put it in the Z energy after you combo with it, you can pay 1 and play Rambunctious Sun from your hand. And then since it's a Vegeta, it turns on Rambunctious Sun's effect as long as you leave it in the Z energy. So it's just straight value for that deck. Um, I'm running 2 right now. I don't think you really need any more, but the more I play with that card, the more I like it. So I might end up going up to a third one at some point.
Did Fluffer Jimmy, you guys have any other matches you want to talk about?
I was actually on camera twice this week.
You were.
So
Yeah.
the only match that didn't get on camera was against one of Jimmy's Yu-Gi-Oh friends, Nick. We call him Nick 2. And he was playing Bergamo Lock. I have a lot of experience against that deck, and I just honestly felt bad for the guy. I think I dropped like 3 bombs on him turn after turn after turn. So
Did Jimmy, did he get the cards he needed finally? I know he
Yeah,
bought,
he
okay.
yeah, he got everything ordered, so he's slowly working on the deck and piecing it together and feeling it out.
And it's one of those decks where I feel like it's probably gotten power crept out, like it can't hold a candle, but I think he knows that, and he just said he likes the deck, and I always feel like
Nick is Nick 2, as we call him, is a enigma when it comes to card games because he does not care what the hell he's playing. If he likes the way it looks or like thinks the archetype is cool, he will play it no matter what. Doesn't even matter if it's good or not, or if he shows up and loses. He just enjoys playing that, which I'm sure there's a lot of card game players out there like that, but especially at our shop with everybody being so competitive, it's almost a system shock when somebody shows up and he's just like, I'm just having fun. It's like,
What do you mean? You can do that?
You can't do that. You can't play that card because you like the art. You can't do that. That card's bad. You can't do it.
yeah, he was like, because I was playing SS4 Vegeta ramp this weekend, and after our game, he was like, "Dude, that deck is so freaking sick." He was like, "I love that." He was like, "I felt like I was playing against a Yu-Gi-Oh deck." He was like, "That game was absolutely incredibly fun."
Nick, he is fairly new to modern Dragon Ball. He played Dragon Ball, I think, like when set 2 come out, going into set 3. He dabbled in the game. I actually sold him a deck, and it was Yellow Broly that plays the SS4 secret rare from set 3. And it was all pre-errata Broly, had minus Keely zones, battering lasers in the main.
Shigesh,
yes. And it was like a blast from the past because he still has that deck built. But he took a break after that deck got banned. And then just recently wanted to get back into Dragon Ball. So I'm super hyped to have him out because he's one of the reasons that I actually started playing Dragon Ball. Because him and Chase would play in their college dorm and drag me along, and I'm like, I don't want to play this stupid fucking card game. And then look at me fucking now.
Yeah, and here we are.
Yeah.
They won.
Traveling to play regionals and shit.
I went all the way to buttfuck Tennessee to play a card game. Place was very nice. They had a Whataburger. That was really cool.
Oh shit, okay.
I didn't go there. I just looked at it, and they had a Dutch Bros coffee. We're getting one of those near where I live, so I'm kind of hyped. I don't know if it's good or not, but it's something new.
I want to give a shout out because I think Jimmy, you told me that like there was a lot of people who, like talked to you, Chase and Steve, and and I just want to give a shout out to those people for tuning in and watching and whatnot. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, like everybody I met was super cool, super chill. They always asked, "Is the others here?" And I had to tell them that no, they scurried off to play in Battle Spirits because they got dollar signs in their eyes. And we couldn't convince Fluff to come out, which I wish he did because almost everybody that asked about AOP asked about Fluff. So a lot of Fluff fans out there. Shout out to Kyle Chris. It was really cool meeting Kyle. And also shout out to my round one opponent. I am so sorry that I forgot your name. The Evil Saiyan player. He mentioned that he was a fan of this style of content, so I ensured him that we would get on it and do more stuff like this because we're here for the community. Well, I mean, I'm here for myself, but everybody else wants to do stuff for the community.
Since we're doing shout outs, shout out to Percy TCG. He's a Battle Spirits content creator. Bancroft and I met him, and I actually ended up playing one of the guys from his locals, and what was probably my most fun game all day. So shouts out to them. We might be, I don't know if it'll be on camera or not, but we might be playing games with them in the future, like over webcam and stuff. And they don't live too far from where we're based, so we might be able to meet up again in the future.
Which would be really cool. And it was also, I'm not good with names, unless you remember his name. There was the one guy that when you were talking to him at the outside, and I kind of walked up, and you're like, yeah, this is Percy, and this is Bancroft from AOP, and then one guy. Was super excited to meet us. It was pretty cool. I don't remember your name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, his name slipped my mind as well. He ended up doing pretty well.
He did. I would say when I know at the end of the 7th round, he was. I think he was either X and 1 or X and 2. I don't know where he placed finally in the end. But if you happen to be checking this out, let me know in the comments what you placed there. I think that covers a lot of the bases. Unless there's something else you guys want to talk about.
Looking forward to Gen Con. Yeah,
Gen Con will be fun. If you're gonna be out there, look forward to playing against you all there.
Oh, put in the comments if you want us to make another Gen Con video, because Bancroft vlogging is not his favorite style of content, but those are some of my favorite videos to go back and watch. Is like the chili dog video or the Gen Con video, like some of our travel vlogs and stuff.
Jake, are you gonna try to break the piss record?
Yeah, we'll see if we can make it all the way to Indiana before I have to stop and pee.
With that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Keep in mind, there's buttons, links, check them out. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.